lift the front edge up and push in at the same time. It has no locking mechanism, just uses spring tension. When you want to pull it back out, you just pull the bottom edge, she folds out. Your door, so the handle you use to get in and out is that one there. If you want to use your fly screen, pull that lever to the side, lift that handle up to come separate. She's all metal construction, metal mesh, so it keeps the honest people out when you're going off for a walk. You've also got a hoop on the door to lock her open when you need to. At any point, you can just shut the outer screen, outer skin, so you can shut her up completely. Put your key in, turn it to the left to lock it. The handle automatically pops down, telling you that it's locked. It also means that when you're traveling, if you hit something, it won't rip your handle off, and that means that it can't get into the van. And then when you unlock it, turn it to the right, handle pops open, and then you can get them around. Alright, just behind that you've got your handle light, so you can tap the button once for a blue light in behind the handle, and then again for the white light on top. External speakers, you've got your picnic table. She's rated at 25 kilos, so don't go getting drunk and dancing on it. You've also got a 12 volt socket outlet and an antenna outlet, so you can put your TV on here if you want to. You've also got a standard 240 outlet as well if you want to use that for anything. Now with this, you do have keys to lock it. You can put that in, twist it 180 and lock it. I don't see any reason in doing it. I like these because you don't have to lock them. So tyre pressures. We fill them up to 55 PSI, just because it's a big van, you need a bit of PSI in the sidewalls to give it a bit of travel room. And then just behind your wheels is your jacking points. I'll show you how your jack works around with them around the other side.
Are them tyres already balanced?
Yeah, so they do all the balancing and stuff like that. And they also adjust the towing and stuff like that on the suspension system and that too. I rarely have an issue with, the only time I ever really have them scrubbing out is if you're running low PSI when you're traveling and stuff like that. So just always keep an eye on them. But apart from that, they're pretty good. You rarely get them rubbing out. Alright, so just behind your two wheels, you've got your toilets in here. So these locks, you pull it up, twist it 180. Pull it out. So, with the toilet, it won't come out if that grey lever on the inside's open that I showed you inside. It just means that if somebody's using the toilet, you can't just pull this out from underneath them. It also won't flush properly if this isn't in all the way. So if you ever pop her in and are worried if it's in or not properly, walk around the inside, hit the button. If it flushes, it's fine. If it doesn't, then come around and have a look what's going on. To pull her out, you got this little blue lever down here. Lift that up. She slides out. It's got wheels and a fold out handle, so you don't need to carry waste a second time. When you get to your dump point, pull your little chute out, undo the cap, push and hold that blue button in so it lets air flow through, and then tip her out. Now at the dumping points, they usually have hoses so you can give it a washout if you need to. If you want to do that, slide that tab out, twist that open, and you can get in there with the hose, give it a washout if you need to. And that's also where you can plop your capsule in if you want to. You've also, your cap doubles up as a measuring device, so if you do get a bottle, you can measure out how many mils, put it in there if you want to. And then what I do is whatever chemical you use in there, I always put water in there so it's kind of 5-10 mil level of water across the whole bottom of the toilet. It just dissolves the chemical first thing, and it also gives it a bit of a base, so when you use it the first time there's a bit of water in there to kind of dilute it. Then when you want to put it back in, make sure that's pointing that way, make sure that's in like that. Then you just slide her in until she clicks, like so, she's in. Now, I'll show you your awning line. Camera up there, as I said before, it's got the microphone built into it and stuff like that. Spare wheel on the back. Now if you want to put a padlock on it, at the rear here, there's two metal plates coming down on the angle, just there.
Mhm.
There's holes through them so you can put your padlock through.
Mhm.
Means that you can't take the plate off, and that means you can't take your spare wheel off.
Okay, cool.
And then around this side. So with your drop down legs, when you want to use them, pull your red handle out, bring it down so she's as vertical as you can get it. Naturally, if you're on uneven ground, you might not be able to get it vertical, but as close to vertical as you can. Then there's a winder in your front tunnel boot there. Put the winder onto there and then wind it down until you're putting a little pressure down on the ground. Don't level the caravan with these. They're only meant to stop the bounce out of your suspension and your wheels when you're inside the van. That also means that when it's in storage at your house, I don't bother putting the legs down. There's no real point because it's not about comfort, it's about just storing it. Just behind your drop down leg, you got your waste water outlet. So all your water comes out of there apart from your toilet naturally. You've got a hose in your starter kit that will just screw straight onto that fitting, run her out to the dump point. Now, just in front of your wastewater outlet is your freshwater tank. If you need to drain it at any point, you can open up that valve and drain the water out. When it's in storage, I suggest leave the water tanks empty. And then what I do is I leave that valve open, put the hose in to the water filler, put a bit of water through it so it runs out, so it gets all, if there's dust in there or anything, gets it out, and then shut that valve off and just let it fill up. Now, just above your water tank is your little Anderson plug up there for your portable solar panel if you want to plug one in.
Yep.
And then just in front of that, you've got your battery box. So if you need to gain access to it, undo that screw, fascia slides down, you can gain access to your battery if you need to. And as I said, there's a couple of fuses in there for like your trail safe and all that kind of stuff. I never have them blow unless it's people like me that fiddle around with stuff and blow things. Now, when you want to pack up with your drop down legs, wind her onto there, wind her up as far as she'll go, then lift your handle out, lift her up till she's vertical, let the handle back in, and then I just give it a bit of a push to make sure it's actually locked in there. Especially with these front facing ones, if they fall down at pole vaults, the thing up into your caravan and troubles ensue. Now what you've also got up there is you've got a sail track along the top there, so if you want to, you can put a shade cloth along there to keep the sun off the side of the van in the summertime. It really helps out. Jacking point for this side, your cold air inlet for your fridge, hot air outlet for your fridge, gas exhaust for your fridge. Your radio antennas up there, that's just a soft one, flops over when you put a shade cloth in if you want to. Back here you've got your two water fillers, so naturally the one at the back's for your rear water tank, one at the front's for your front. When you want to use them, twist them, pop them off. Now what you got to do is, you've got to take the end off your hose all the time to shove the hose down into there to fill them up. So what I did with my mum, I cut a length of hose, left one end open and went to Bunnings and got another fitting for it, so she can just clip it into the end of the hose. So she doesn't need to take the end off the hose all the time. So shove your hose down into there. Don't have the water pressure going too crazy into it because your breather pipe is smaller than your filler pipe. So if you have it water going in there too quickly, it'll backfill before it's actually full because it's not giving enough time for the air to get out of it. So I only have it going 50% kind of open on the tap. You kind of learn what pressure you can really run it at. Then when water starts coming back out of here, go around, check your gauge in there, in beside your door, and make sure she's reading full. And then you're sweet, move on to your next tank. With these, when you lock them, see if I can guess the right key. When you lock them, they just free spin like old fuel caps, so you can't open them up. And then in between them is your external shower. This works like any external shower known to man. With this though, your cold water, you turn it on you're turning it to the right, turns it on. With your hot, you turn it to the left to turn it on. This is one of the things that they do. But it's all metal construction. If you want to set it up, so say if you're at a beach and you want to shower, so to get the sand off, you've got a little bracket here that you can cable tie to a tent pole if you want to, or something like that. and turn her off. And you actually get pretty good pressure through it as well, which is good to see. And you don't have to worry about getting water into there. It's all sealed into the van, so you don't have to worry about getting water. You're just gonna alright. Hot water system. Don't really need to touch anything out here. All your controls are inside. You got your mains water inlet down there. So when you're at a caravan park, you're in your starter kit, you just got a standard tap fitting. Screw the tap fitting onto there, plug your hose in. Doesn't matter what pressure you're running through that hose, this will regulate it to a pressure that will work in your van, so you don't need to worry about busting the fittings or anything in your van if you have it going too crazy pressure in there. And then underneath here, you just got the drain point for your front water tank if you need to drain that. Alright. And then what you've also got is you've got your antenna inlet on this side. So if you go to a caravan park that has Foxtel, apparently they exist. I'm probably too cheap to go there. But you can screw into there, or they have a universal antenna system. So you can use their system as opposed to the one on your roof. So if you're having them wind up. And then in here, you got your, this is a pretty good one in here. So you got your storage in this side. They've all got drain points in them because when you hit it, when you wash them with a hose, if you hit this with too much pressure, it tends to get a bit of water in there, so you can drain it out if you need to. And then in this drawer, cupboard, you got a light in case you have a flat tire at night. You've got your jack, so to use this, pull the pin out, undo the hook, out. And then all this does is behind the rear wheel. It just slides over the bit of metal, and then the pin locks it in.
That's easy, isn't it?
Oh yeah, mate, it's bad enough jacking one of these up with a normal garage jack. Trying to lift it up with some of the ones that they give you from factory is horrible. But these ones are terrific. You don't have to go underneath the van, locks it in, so you don't have to worry about falling off. Also, seeing as though if you've got a flat tire, it might be a bit low. What you can do is you can put your wheel brace onto these, they're just 19mm, and you can move this bracket up or down as well. So if you're on uneven ground, you don't have to dig a hole to get it to the right height. You just move the bracket to where you need it to be. Now when you're traveling, because you take your jockey wheel off the front of the van when you're traveling, if you ever get a flat tire, leave it hooked up to your car, but put your jockey wheel on and wind it down until it's touching the ground. Because if you leave your jockey wheel off and you start winding it up, it naturally puts more weight on the front, which drops the arse end of your car, which means you have to wind it up twice as much to get both wheels off the ground.
Yep.
So I just put the jack on, wind it down till it's touching, and then wind this up, and it actually twists the van as opposed to pushing the front of the van down. Nice, simple, not dangerous. Always good, because you don't want to be strapped on the side of the road trying to jack up one of these and not feel safe. In here as well, you've also got your wheel brace and your winder for your drop down legs in there as well.
Yep.
Don't be too alarmed with the amount of keys that you have. All these small ones here are all the exact same key. They come with all these style of hatch. It's just that they all come with a set of keys, so we give them all to you, so it saves us having to end it with 500 of them. So these, when you lock them, you just turn that key. They are different. So turn that to the up and down position, means that you can't open them up. Yeah, but they are different too. There will be only two different. Yeah, so those hatches run off a separate key, and this front hatch runs on a separate key. Alright. So at the front end, as I said before, you got 2 full gas bottles. You only run off 1 gas bottle at a time, so you have this little green valve, so whatever one that's pointing to is whatever gas bottle you're running off. I'll go over this stuff when we hook up. It's a bit easier to show you while we're doing it. But your bike rack. So you got 4 of these hooks, 1 for each bike. You've got 4 straps, 1 for each bike. And you've got 4 Velcro straps, 1 for each bike. When you want to use it, forward you. Follow up. Now you will need to change the distance of them for each individual bike. So you just use an Allen key in there to move them in and out. Then when you've got those set, put your bikes on. Drop one of these down on each side of that pylon. And then all you do is, you got your strap here, one side hooks through there, one side hooks through there, and then you just reef on it downwards to put tension down on the bike. And then you've just got a Velcro strap that you run through this piece here, just as a bit of extra support on one of the wheels, just in case the strap works its way loose, it just holds the bikes together.
Yep.
And then what a lot of people do is they just go to Bunnings and get like a bike lock, and they just wrap it all through the bikes and through that. Also means that when you're storing them around your caravan, you can use it around your A-frame to lock your bikes to your A-frame when you're storing them at the caravan park. And then what you can also do is putting bikes on or pulling gas bottles off and stuff like that. You can pull that R-clip out, pull that pin out, and then you can lift the whole rack up if you want to put bikes at the rear. It makes it a bit easier, or pull separate bikes out individually.
Yep.
Now we've set it at the basic kind of level, so this can move forward if you have room for it, and this bar can also move down as well, so you can choose and change, shop and change where you want it to be.
So that drops all the way through down.
Yeah, so it's just an open hole, and it just moved down to these holes here, wherever you need it to be.
Yep.
It's pretty hard to tell without having a vehicle here, so we just set it at the basic thing and sort out where it needs to be. Any questions about the bike rack?
No, I think we're just going to have to try and figure it out when we've got the bikes on.
Yeah, that's the thing. But the good thing I like about this is you're actually pulling force down on the straps.
Yep.
A lot of the other ones, they have a nut here that you tighten it up, and you're not actually putting active weight down on it to keep the bikes down. You've also got the instructions there too.
Yep.
In here as well, you've got your plates up there for your weight limits, so you can monitor them and make sure you're not going over. You've also got your hook for pulling your awning out. And you've also got your gas lead, so have you had a gas bayonet fitting before?
No.
So with this, if you want to run a barbecue outside, you got this little fitting down here.
Yep.
So just twist and pop the cap off. Then when you want to run a barbecue, push that in and on. Screw that straight into your barbecue. You don't need to run a regulator on this because you're running off the one at the front of your van, and that means that you can leave your gas bottles hooked up but still have a barbecue connected up all the time and don't have to move gas bottles or anything like that. Because a lot of people cook outside.
Yeah.
People rarely use the inside stuff. And then in this one, you got your starter kit. So you got your grey water hose, the fittings that you need for it to attach to your caravan. You got your freshwater drinking hose plus your fittings to attach to the caravan park and your caravan. And you got a 15 amp power lead in there as well, so you're pretty much set up to go to a caravan park straight away.
Yeah, cool.
Now one thing I would buy with this is a set of chocks, or just get a bit of timber to chock it.
We've got them, yeah.
Cool. Because don't rely on the handbrake to keep it stationary on big hills. The handbrakes just don't really hold too well.
Yep.
Or at least I don't trust them.
No, we never let him sleep.
Oh mate, the amount of ones that we've had roll away on us up here is people who just pulled up, pulled the handbrake on, walked off, and then we've come out and the caravan's rolling down the street. But if that ever does happen, yank this sucker out.
Okay.
That locks,
Just locks
yeah,
brakes
it locks
up.
the brakes up and the brake lights on it. So mate, the amount of times I've had to yank that out to stop it is just crazy.
So to reset that, is it?
You just
simple
plug
as
it in,
plug
yeah,
straight back
and
in?
it just cuts it
Cuts
straight
the
away.
circuit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So no, they're awesome.
Yeah, cool.
I'll show you with the status light on the top of them when we hook it up to your van, our car.
So would people actually pull that out just as a secure thing, not sliding downhill when you turn up the camp? Is that
No,
not?
so what I usually do is that when we hook it up to your car, I'll see where we can hook it up to, but I usually leave that till last. So I actually wind the van off the car before detaching that.
Yeah,
So
got
that
it.
means if she does roll away, it's still attached to your car and it reaps it out when it's rolling away, say if you go and talk to somebody or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
So, but I don't pull it on unless there is an emergency and I do need to pull it on.
Yeah, okay.
Alright, so, awning time. Good things with this is it only takes about 5 minutes, well less time actually, with one person. So, first things first, when you want to roll the awning out, you've got your little tabs here. So you push that little hook up, slide the whole tab out to the front.
Mm-hmm.
Means that it unlocks the inner and the outer arm. Then back here you got two knobs. The bottom one, undo it just a couple of revolutions just so it's loose. You tighten that up while you're traveling just so it doesn't rattle and fall out on you when you're going down the road. So you got the same thing at the rear. Push that little hook upwards, slide that whole tab out to the front, loosen off that nut back there.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the rear here, you've got this shark fin. This is your mechanism to lock it to roll out or in. So when that tab's down, you can't push it up. So just slide that out of the way. You can push it up until it clicks to the roll out position. When you click it to the roll out position, use your hook in your strap, and then you just pull her out. Now you can stop at any point when you're pulling it out. You don't have to keep force downwards on it. It automatically locks in when it needs to. Alright. Now, when you get down to this position, this arm here slides up. It automatically creeps in through the top of your arm. This side, slide her up until she clips in. And now at this point, you've got two options. If you want to set the arms up so they're pointing directly upwards off the floor, what you can do is push that little hook up, detach the bottom of the arm, walk her out so she's straight up and down, full pressure out in your arm, and then you tighten up that screw to stop that arm from sliding in.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can grab yourself some pegs, peg it through the ground, and then what you can do is if you want to raise this up a little bit, you can pull this handle out. It has holes that the handle locks into so you can choose your height.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one option. Not a lot of people do it, but if you get Mannix later on, or if you're staying for a long period of time and you're pretty confident that the wind's not going to pick up, you can set it up like this. The other option is you can leave it permanently attached to the van. Now, when you're packing this back up, you can lift her up, guide her into the clip, and she'll automatically clip in automatically. And then if you want to leave it hooked up to the van, you pull that handle up and you can walk her up like that. And then when you get her out to the desired height, pull downwards a bit, tighten that screw up there, that will stop that same thing from moving in and out. And then what you've got as well is, you've got these brackets here, so they're built-in anti-flappers, so if it picks up a bit of wind and it starts buffeting, you can undo that screw, and you can bring this across, and the vinyl goes through it like that. So you can keep it locked in, stops the wind from giving it a buffet. Now what you've also got as well is, if you want to put an end wall in, you can. There's an opening at this end. You can slide the vinyl, the end wall into there. This strap also slide along it too. Now, when the wind picks up, so I'm talking like to the point where people's tents are starting to blow away and stuff like that, roll the awning up. even if you've got it tied down, I've had barrels bend and stuff like that because of too much wind. And also keep an eye on the rain. When the rain starts picking up, drop the awning down a bit just so that you've got a bit more fall on it to get the rain off quickly. Now, if you pack it up in the wet, you don't have to really worry about it too much. It's a vinyl, not actually a canvas, so you don't have to worry about mold developing in it if it's wet. But it does kind of get a bit crinkly and looks a bit weird when you roll it up wet. So if you do have an opportunity to roll it out and dry it out, I would, but it's not going to damage it. It's just going to look a bit weird. All right, so when you want to wind it back down, you just, first things first, you loosen off, or you take your anti flappers off if you've got them, and you loosen that off. And then,
So they can't loosen out too much that it drops on the ground.
yeah,
so
that,
it's
that
like-
will loose, if you undo it
Okay.
too much, it will fall out. So
Yep.
that's why when you're traveling, you tighten them up so it doesn't rattle and fall out the back of it. So I only roll it out a couple of revolutions just so she's loose. You don't need to go crazy and just start winding it until it falls out.
Yep.
Alright, so when you loosen those up, you lift your handle up, bearing in mind to keep your hands out of the road of anything that's going to pinch. That comes down as far as it will go. There's a little stopper here to stop it at the right height. So you got this arm, lift that handle up, drop it down as far as you go. And now at this point, you want to drop this arm down. So if you reach over the top where the little pin pokes through the end, you just push it across to the side. Unlocks it, slide that down as far as it will go. Down to this side. And then what I'll get you to do is come around this side of the awning. So, to roll it back up, you got to flick this switch towards the van to get it to the roll up position. Now you can't do that with the weight of the spring on it. So what you got to do is you got to pull it downwards slightly. See how it started to move there? That means that the pressure's off the switch. Then when that happens, grab that, push it down until you hear the click. Now it's in the roll up position, which means it's disengaged the gear mechanism. But because the gear mechanism's disengaged, it means that you can't let go of the strap, otherwise the awning's just going to slam into the van. So you got to keep weight down on it at all times when you've got it flicked into the roll up position. Now what I also do is I try and keep the strap as close to the center of the awning as I can. Yeah, so if you have it on this side, the other arm starts to catch because it's pulling it out awkwardly.
Yeah.
And what I also do is you can see where previous times the strap's been, you can see like there's a little kind of divots in it. You can see the one in the center pretty obviously. If you leave it there for too long, it starts to wear a pattern in it and it kind of looks a bit ugly. So when you flicked it to the roll up position, I just grab the barrel with one hand, you just slide the strap across. It doesn't have to be exact center, just close to it. And then you just guide the strap up, making sure it's flat. Like so. Then when she's up, slide that tab in to clip the two arms together, and then tighten up the screw down there so she doesn't rattle and fall out on you. Alright. So, any questions about anything on that?